Hey guys, today I wanted to talk to you about unit rates. And unit rates are something that show up or seem to show up a lot on the GED and on the TABE test that you take when you enroll with a Skills U Center. Now, whenever somebody takes the GED and they don't pass, or whenever I'm looking over people's TABE scores, it seems like unit rates is something that people miss over and over and over again. And unit rates isn't really doing any kind of math that you don't already know. You already know how to do the math required of finding unit rates. I think a lot of it is just maybe we don't know what unit rates are, like we've never heard of it before, or when we put it in a word problem, it's like it's speaking another language to us. So I thought I'd make a video so we could talk about this and kind of refresh on this, since it seems like it's something that a lot of people have trouble with. So first of all, before we talk about unit rates, we need to talk about ratios. Now, all a ratio does is it compares two quantities, or it compares the amount of two things that you have. Like, for instance, I have these boxes drawn here, and some of them are in green, and some of them are in red. Now, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I have 10 boxes. Now, let's say I wanted to make a ratio of how many green boxes I have compared to how many red boxes I have. So I have 6 green boxes and I have 4 red boxes. And so my ratio would be 6/4. So with ratios, they always need to be in the same order that the words are. So the word green was on top, so I had to put the number of green boxes, which was 6, on top. And then red was on bottom, so I had to put the number of red boxes on bottom. Now, one thing about this fraction is that I've got 6/4. So, like, if this was my ratio and it's multiple choice, 6/4 is not going to be one of the choices, because I have to do something else to that fraction. I have to reduce it. I have to break it down or simplify it. So, first of all, is there a number that can go into 6 and 4 that can be divided into both of those numbers? 2. Yeah, because these are both even numbers. So 2 goes into both of those. So what's 6 divided by 2? 3. And what's 4 divided by 2? 2. So our ratio of green boxes to red boxes is 3:2. Now, sometimes they write ratios like they look like fractions. Sometimes they write it like this. Or sometimes they might even write it like this. But it means the exact same thing. Sometimes they just decide to write it differently. Now, here is another example. Let's say that you've got 30 students. There's 18 boys in the class and there's 12 girls in the class. Obviously, this would be before COVID, because I doubt you can have that many in your class anymore. And they wanted to know the ratio of boys to girls. So there's 18 boys to 12 girls. But again, I've got to break this down. So both of these are even numbers, so I can divide by 2. So I get 9/6. And that can still break down even further. What's a number that can go into 9 and 6? 3. So I end up getting a 3:2 ratio. So for every 3 boys, there's 2 girls. So that's ratios. That's how we deal with those. Now, if I wanted to know the ratio of boys to the total, so there's 18 boys to 30 total students. And again, this breaks down. So it can go 9 to 15. That breaks down even further to 3 to 5. Now, the ratio of girls to total is 12 to 30. And again, that can break down. So 3 can go into both of these. 4 divided by 3, or 12 divided by 3 is 4. 30 divided by 3 is 10. And again, this can break down. So it can break down to 2 to 5. So those are our ratios. So ratio of boys to total is 3 to 5. Ratio of girls to total is 2 to 5. And so that brings us to unit rates. And so unit rates, it basically tells you how much one thing is worth. Or let's say how many miles per hour you're going. So like if you ask somebody what's the price per pound, that's a unit rate. How much somebody earns for 1 hour, that's a unit rate. So it's just the rate for 1 unit. So for instance, so let's say I want to know the unit price or the unit rate of this bottle. So it's $3.52 for 16 ounces of a bottle, for a 16-ounce bottle. And I want to know the unit rate. So basically, I'm going to ask, how much am I paying for 1 ounce? How much is that going to cost? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my $3.52 and I'm going to divide it by 16. And when I do that, I get 22 cents. So that means that 1 ounce of whatever's in this bottle is going to cost 22 cents. So all I had to do was divide. I had to divide the cost by how many ounces there were. All right, let's try this again. Let's say that we have a bike that travels 21 miles in 3 hours. So I want to know the unit rate. So if I want to know the unit rate, I'm asking how much this bike traveled in 1 hour. So I just have to divide 21 by 3. And when I do that, I get 7. So it's going 7 miles in 1 hour. Now let's look at this one. So this is another one where they give us ounces of something and they want to know how much it costs per 1 ounce. If a 12-ounce bottle of juice costs $2.40, how much does the juice cost per ounce? To calculate the unit rate, you need to make the denominator equal to 1. So in this case, you divide the numerator and the denominator by 12. So this one tells us what we're doing. So it costs $2.40 for 12 ounces. But we want to know what this is for 1 ounce. So we're just going to divide our top number by our bottom number. So $2.40 divided by 12 gives me 20 cents. So you're spending 20 cents per ounce. So that's our unit rate, 20 cents. Now, sometimes they might give you a unit rate problem with fractions. We're still doing the exact same thing. It just kind of looks a little bit different, or it might look weird the first time you see it. So this one says, for example, Jalen swims 3/4 of a mile in a half an hour. What is her swimming speed expressed as a unit rate? So she's got 3/4 of a mile in a half of an hour, and we want to know her swimming speed in 1 hour. So it's the exact same thing. We're going to divide our top number by our bottom number. We're just doing that with fractions. So in your calculator, you type your 3/4. So remember, you hit that N over D button. You're going to divide, hit the N over D button again, 1/2, and enter. And she is going 3/2, so she's going 1.5 miles in 1 hour. So she's going 1.5 miles in 1 hour. All right, let's look at another one. Grapes are $3.50 for 2 pounds. What is the unit rate per pound of grapes? So they really like these unit rates when it comes to money. So it's $3.50 for 2 pounds. We want to know what it is for 1 pound, so we're going to divide. So we just take our $3.50 and divide it by 2. So it's $1.75 for 1 pound. So let's look at this one. Paolo worked 32 hours last week and earned $507.20. How much did he earn per hour? So they want to know how much money he earned in 1 hour. So we're going to take what he earned. So he earned $507.20. We're going to divide it by how much he worked. So he worked 32 hours. So we're going to go 507.2 divided by 32, and we get 15.85. So he's earning $15.85 for working 1 hour. All right, let's look at another one. Quan makes 1/4 of a recipe. he uses a third cup of milk. How much milk does the whole recipe use? Now there's a few different ways that you can solve this. So we know that he's making a fourth of the recipe. Sometimes I like to label these so I don't get confused. And he's using a third cup of milk. And so they want to know how much milk he's using if they use the whole recipe. So the way that I would solve it, I like to set these up as proportions. And so with proportions, you want to make sure that the things that have the same label are on the same side of the fraction. So for instance, I have recipe on top over here, so 1/4 of the recipe. And for 1, the whole recipe, that has to be on top on the other side. Same thing with the milk. Milk is on the bottom part of the fraction on the left side, so it needs to be on the bottom part of the fraction on the right side as well. So now what I'm going to do, I am going to cross multiply. So cross multiply is when you multiply, basically it's like in the shape of an X. So I'm going to go 1/3 times 1, which is 1/3. And then I'm going to go 1/4 times X, because that's the thing I don't know. So 1/4 times X. So they're saying a fourth of this number, whatever it is equal to 1/3. So we got to get the X by itself. And whenever you have a number next to a letter, that means that you're multiplying. So I got to do the opposite to get the X by itself. So I'm going to divide both sides by 1/4. So when I divide 1/3 by 1/4, I get 4/3. So they're going to need a 4/3 cup of milk, or a cup and a third of milk, however you want to write that. So it's the same thing as 1 1/3. Now this one, so again, a lot of the times when we deal with unit rates, we are dealing with like how much somebody earns in an hour. They love questions like that. So Julia works as a cook and earns $183.75 for 15 hours. At the same hourly rate, how much will Julia earn for 10 hours of week? 10 hours of work, excuse me. Now this is a two-parter question. The first thing that we have to do is figure out the unit rate. How much is she earning for 1 hour of work? That's the first thing we have to figure out. But look, the question says, how much will she earn for 10 hours of work? So we have to figure out how much she earns for 10 hours. So we've got to do this in two parts. So first of all, let's ask what we know. Well, I know she's earning $183.75 for 15 hours of work. So let's figure out how much she earns for 1 hour of work. So we're just going to take $183.75 and we're going to divide it by 15. So she is earning $12.25 an hour. Now look, that is one of our choices, but that is not what they asked for. They don't want to know how much she earns in 1 hour. They want to know how much she earns in 10 hours. So then we're going to take that $12.25 and we're going to multiply it by 10. And when we do that, we get $122.50. So be sure with word problems, make sure that you're reading the whole thing and that you know what they're asking, because a lot of these have two parts and they use those two parts to try to trick you and to basically to get you to pick the wrong answer. So make sure you're reading it closely. If there's two parts, make sure you know there's two parts and that you know how to do both parts. And I might make a video on two-part word problems in a few days, so watch out for that. All right, and then we got this last one. Chris uses 2 2/3 cups of brown sugar to make 4 batches of cookies. How many cups of sugar does Chris use per batch? So he is using, so again, what do we know? I know he's using 2 2/3 cup for 4 batches. And they want to know what? How much he uses per batch. Basically, how much is he using for one batch? So we have 2 2/3 cups for 4 batches. So we are going to divide. So in our calculators, now this is a mixed number. So to put that in your calculator, hit the second button and then hit the N over D button, and that'll let you put a mixed number in. So I have 2 2/3, and I'm going to divide that by 4, and so I get 2/3. So how many cups of sugar does he use per batch? He uses 2/3 of a cup of brown sugar. So that's it for this video. I hope that it helps you make sense of unit rates, because again, it shows up on a lot on the TABE test. It can show up on the GED, and I know it's something that a lot of people have trouble with. So when you're done watching this video, do the self-check in the Google Classroom. See if you understood it, and if you don't get a very good score on it, come back and watch the video, watch it again, and then try the self-check again. So hope you guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.